What if the biggest block in your manifestation isn't the how, but it's actually that your dream is too small to even excite you? Today, we're removing the invisible ceiling and giving ourselves full permission to dream ridiculously big. Welcome to the Manifestation and Money Podcast, the show where we tackle the taboo topics of money and manifestation. I'm your host, Jenny Schultz, former 9-to-5 grinder who ditched the status quo and went all in on creating a life I love. Yes, I use manifestation. Yes, I took action. And yes, I created a 7-figure net worth before turning 40. Every week, I'll bring you inspiring stories with money mavens and manifestation masters. From learning how to make more, save more, and grow your wealth to unlocking the power of manifesting your dream life. I am so excited to play in this space with you. Let's jump into creating a life you love. Hey friend, welcome back to the Manifestation and Money Podcast. I'm Jen, and around here we mix the woo with the do, so you can create the lifestyle of your dreams. If you're new here, hi. If you've been listening for a while, you already know I like to keep it practical, playful, but powerful. Whether I've got a guest on the show or it's just me, I want to show up and give you those little needle-moving bursts of inspiration that you can go out and take charge of your own lives in uplifting ways. Today, I'm flying solo, and this episode is about a big sneaky block I see all the time, and that is that we are actually not allowing ourselves to dream big, to dream bold, and this even happens to me. Now, I don't think we limit our dreams because we're lazy, but because it feels safer to play small, to not put our hand up, to be quiet and not be seen, to not take ownership for what we really want. But it's not always easy, is it, to come from a place of playing small, to put on our big girl or big boy pants and to flip that switch into playing big. Today, we're going to talk about why we shrink, how to spot it, and then I'm going to give you a playful practice to expand your capacity and give yourself full permission to dream way bigger, starting today. Sound good? Okay. I think a big reason why we stop dreaming big is because on some level, small feels safer. Here are 5 very human reasons that I think we tend to shrink into that safety. Number 1, we're human beings. It's our nervous system kicking in. Truthfully, big visions are unknown, and often your body can register unknown as a threat. It's part of our instinct, so it gently nudges you back towards the familiar. And that's not failure, that's just our biology. It's being a human being with a nervous system. It's our fight or flight response to something unfamiliar and unknown. Unfamiliar can feel scary, so we stop. Simple as that. The second reason is that we hold inherited ceilings. So this is stuff we've adopted from other people. These can be little phrases we've heard over time like, be realistic, money changes people, or people like us don't do that. These phrases become invisible rules in our mind, whether we realize it or not. Now, you didn't choose these rules. You've inherited them from your parents, your teachers, your peers, influencers, but we take them on as truth. The third reason I think we tend to shrink is fear of grief or disappointment. If I don't want it too much, I can't be hurt if it doesn't happen. So we protect ourselves by wanting less. For me personally, this shows up as taking a task or goal to 90% and then stopping. Because in my belief system, if it wasn't complete, no one can judge me on my final product. So I can hang out in this safety zone of having a default that, oh, I'm not quite done yet, so I don't have to take ownership of the end result yet. It's a quirk I'm working on. And I know, for example, I will literally clean the kitchen and leave 2 spoons in the sink or not do a final wipe down of the counters. And this might sound like no big deal, but by noticing this about myself, I'm able to see where I do it in other areas of my life. Yes, it does show up. And now when I notice myself doing it, I can smile, pause, turn around and finish the task so that I'm building this new belief in my subconscious about myself that I do take tasks to completion. And I'm sure I still have blind spots in areas that I'm blind to right now, but I do find it amusing to have almost like a third-party view of this quirk that I'm dealing with, all to protect myself from disappointment. Number 4 is evidence bias. So we believe what we see. If no one in your current circle has done it, your brain equates no evidence with not possible. When I wanted to become a real estate investor after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I didn't know anyone else doing it. So part of me almost shut that idea down before buying a single property. Instead, I started looking for evidence. joining local investor groups, joining seminars where real estate investing was normal for other people. I hung out in their circles, I learned how they did it, and that made it feel possible for me. So instead of shutting an idea down because you don't know of anyone else doing it, look for people who are doing it. And there are so many virtual communities nowadays on Facebook, Meetup, and School that you can start looking for evidence immediately before some of these goal stoppers that we're chatting about have a chance to stop your big, bold dream. And the last reason I think that we play small is that we have an identity lag. You're operating with an older self concept that can't yet hold the bigger dream that you desire. So, without meaning to, you're unconsciously making the dream smaller to match your current identity, where in reality, you might need to stretch to a newer version of yourself to achieve this in your dreams. And in a moment, I'm going to discuss the playful way that you can start to do this. All of these things I shared are just part of being human. It isn't a willpower problem. It's more of a capacity problem. And capacity can be trained gently, playfully, consistently. You have the ability to expand your capacity, to expand your context, to see things through a different lens. Well, let's do a quick check-in and see if any of these small dream syndromes ring true for you. Perhaps you add backup dreams because the real one feels risky. Maybe you over-explain your goal so people won't judge it. Do you keep your timelines comfortable instead of creative and expansive? And is your life okay, but feels a little like the same kind of Groundhog Day on repeat? Did any of those feel like you? I personally can relate to every single one of those at some point in my life, which is why I picked them to share. Know if you also saw yourself in any of these, that that's okay. Noticing things is powerful. This could be a crack into you up-leveling your manifestation game, just by expanding your context to being open to seeing things another way. Awareness is like an unlock to the next level. Just like me noticing those 2 spoons in the sink now with a different perspective, it can be a game changer. Let's go on to this expansive exercise that I want to share. So grab a notebook if you want to jot things down, or just feel free to play along in your mind for now. We're going to take a 10x view of your dreams and goals. Now that we know that we all have limiting beliefs, or what are referred to as ceilings, these ceilings are our being's natural way of protecting us. They're our safe zone that we're used to. It's natural for our fight or flight to kick in when we think of something like a big goal or dream that is new and outside of our safety zone. And that's because our subconscious is trying to keep us in the familiar zone where it perceives that it's safe. If you think of a balloon, when you first blow it up, there's often resistance because it's never stretched like that before. If you then let the air back out, you'll notice that the balloon is now different. It is stretched, slightly bigger. The capacity of it has changed. And if you were to put it to your mouth and blow it up again, it would be much easier to blow up because it has already expanded before. That's where I see a parallel with this 10x exercise, because it stretches us to stretch what we want for our dreams and goals, which stretches the glass ceiling, or should I say rubber ceiling to keep the metaphor clear, so that when we take step towards it, it feels more familiar to our subconscious. And I'm not knocking our subconscious, it's there for a reason. It has lovingly built these ceilings to keep us safe, to keep us in the familiar zone. And some people like hanging out here, no judgment, but I don't feel like that's you if you're listening to the Manifestation of Money podcast. I think you're here because you want to do big, bold things with your life. What is your current big dream, big vision, big goal? Call it whatever name resonates most for you. Write it out, see it in your mind. On the podcast, I don't like to leave dead air space, so feel free to pause me as we go through this exercise. Once you are clear on what you really want, I want you to multiply the outcome of that dream, vision, or goal by 10. This is likely going to feel like a stretch, but here's where we are intentionally expanding your capacity. Right here, right now. Have fun with it, play with it. What does your vision look like if you were to 10x it? And try not to get hung up on the imposter syndrome voices that could be kicking in as you go through this. Just think of your vision multiplied by 10. What does it look like? Try to soften your fight or flight that might be showing up by adding the phrase, and it gets to be easy, supported, and fun. And I want you to add that in because oftentimes we associate more with more work. And that doesn't have to be the case. Trust that. You get to 10x your dream and trust that it gets to be easy, supported, and fun. Once you've gotten really clear about what you want and what it looks like multiplied by 10, ask yourself, what becomes obvious at 10x that I couldn't see before? Perhaps you would need to hire an assistant or automate parts of your life or business to get to that next level. Maybe there's a certification that you'd need. Maybe there are things in your life that you need to eliminate, commitments that don't serve you, relationships that are unfulfilling. Maybe it's a new way of eating. Maybe there are things that you need to actually put into your calendar. What becomes obvious when you multiply your vision by 10 times that you couldn't see before? Then write 3 things that come to you. And remember, you can pause this if you're an action taker and are doing this right now. Jot them down. And then the last step, pick one little 10-minute or less action that you can take today towards the thing that you want. Just one. And if you're thinking about it and all of the action steps feel really big right now, maybe your first action step is to break down one of those big actions into a series of smaller action steps that you can take at a future date. And that would be your task for today. Whenever I come up against a big task, I like to think of the saying, you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. Now, I've never personally bitten an elephant, but I do like the simplified visualization of breaking a big goal down into doable pieces. It makes anything feel possible. By stretching into this 10x expansion exercise, whether in your mind or on paper, you are purposefully expanding your context. There's a quote by Norman Vincent Peale that I like to think of when I'm doing exercises that allow me to strive for my big, bold dreams. And it's shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. So instead of playing small and keeping your dream tucked quietly in your heart, what if you were to let it out and see where it took you? Because it might turn into something extraordinary. Doing this exercise also made me think of something my last coach often told me when I was playing small or stuck in tasks that weren't getting me to my desired goal. She often said she needed to pull me out of the weeds. Because if you're stuck down in the bottom of a pond where it's thick with weeds, you can only see directly in front of you. And the weeds are constantly smacking you in the face, distracting you from your big vision. By elevating yourself up above the weeds, you can see all around you. And you have this bird's eye view of the weeds below you that you were stuck in. When we allow ourselves to expand with this 10x exercise, we are pulling ourselves up to get a different view on our situation and gain a stronger perspective of how we want to grow with it. And that's powerful. By elevating yourself to dip your thoughts into a 10x world, your conscious and subconscious mind is expanding into what is possible. By stretching yourself just in your mind where it's safe, we are taking the fight or flight out of this equation. You don't have to worry about what others will think, because again, we're doing this in our mind's eye. You still might get a few nervous butterflies, but there is magic in allowing ourselves to stretch like this. And know that some people will go a lifetime being stuck in their current paradigm, not realizing or not choosing to allow themselves to stretch like this into an alternate reality. And fun fact, our brains can't differentiate between a real event that has happened to us and events that we have created in our mind. It stores them the same. I find that kind of fascinating. So this exercise that I just shared with you is day 1 in the 7-day Dream Bigger challenge that's happening over in the Manifestation Playground. There's no cost to come join me. I personally would love to see you in there. So consider this your personal invitation to come join me. Day 1 starts with this 10x exercise that we just did. Day 2, you get to have a coffee chat with a future version of you who already has acquired the things that you desire. Day 3 is a belief booster. Day 4, we're going to scramble things up a bit with a not yet list and get you out of the weeds to reconnect with your desires. The last half is empowering, playful, and designed to connect you with the someday visions that you have and give you little wins throughout the week so that you walk away at the end of the challenge with an immediate lifestyle upgrade. I want to help ignite that spark within you to help propel you towards your dream. Your dream doesn't need you to hustle harder. Hustle leads to burnout. Hustle feels like a grind. When you connect strongly with your goals and dreams, it doesn't feel like hustle. The path unfolds and the work feels productive and aligned. One thing I want to note is that We don't need to force expanding our capacity. We just lovingly train it. We don't want the fight or flight to kick into high gear when we know we are safe. We just want to gently expand our capacity and trust that if you were to be intentional to expand your context by just 1% and keep showing up with 1% baby step increments towards what is possible, you'd look back after a year and the results would be shocking in a good way. Because your identity expands through taking little actions. And every tiny, brave action is a vote for the bigger version of you that you are becoming. And I'd be willing to bet money that your confidence would grow along the way too. If your current dream feels reasonable, I'm using air quotes here, it might not be enough to change you. It might not be enough to ignite that spark for you to want to take action. So try getting playful, add a 0, and then add in support, play, and safety, and notice what ideas show up. Dreaming bigger isn't irresponsible. It isn't something to be ashamed of. I truly believe that all of the big, bold dreams and goals that come into our minds and our hearts are ours for the taking. That's why I show up here week after week, to remind you that those things nudging at you are yours to claim. Build your capacity, expand your context, build your belief, borrow my belief if you need to. Most importantly, keep it playful, follow the joy, trust that your inner compass is guiding you to a path that is authentically you. It's your time to level up if you want it to be. If this episode inspired you, share it with a friend, invite them to come join you in the manifestation playground and play along in the challenge. Having an accountability buddy by your side is a fun way to create support and momentum towards your dreams. If you don't have an accountability buddy, let the Manifestation Playground community be your accountability team. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Cheers to creating a life you love. Thank you for hanging out with me on the Manifestation and Money podcast. If you're ready to take your manifesting to the next level, come join me inside the Manifestation Playground. It's an intentional space I've created to explore, experiment, and expand your manifestation potential. It's where the magic happens. So head on over to www.manifestationplayground.ca to find out more. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep taking aligned action. Cheers to creating a life you love.